Look at this.
I know it's fancy schmancy.
I'm going outside. I'm gonna go lock the front door.
Yeah, I know.
I told them, I don't have business
They
trying to
did.
come from that.
First off, look, this is your policy. Is this today?
It's April 1st.
Go away.
Oh, that's
I'll
my
bring you back
granddaughter's
down now.
first.
It's either that or it's a rainy
My
day, maybe
name's
something else.
Nothing else.
Couldn't play golf and couldn't go to the movie. So they came to church.
There you go.
Okay, children, it's time to be quiet.
Look at this.
I can't control this crowd.
I know.
It's a tough crowd.
I have to get air to shut y'all up.
Y'all be quiet. Oh, this doesn't have a. I'm trying to get rid of it so you don't have to look at it, but it doesn't. Sorry, do you mind? No.
Okay, this is a review, sort of. What did we learn in the last two classes? What did Jesus teach us in the last 2 weeks? Forgiveness. And what was last week? Faith, compassion.
Hang out with those that are not as good as you.
Today will be, and we got a little glimpse of heaven. And we learned about second chances. Well, today's word or teaching from the cross is behold your son and behold your mother. So I'm going to read. John is the only gospel who records this. As we talked about the first lesson, each gospel has one or two, but they're all different. So they compile them together and make seven. So John tells us in chapter 19, verses 25 through 27. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, Dear woman, here is your son, and to the disciple, here is your mother. From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. Now we know that John, all through his gospel, he refers to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved. So we know that's who he was talking about. In this lesson, we're going to consider 5 ways that these final words of Jesus speak to us today. First of all, ladies, it's our day. We're going to discuss the role of women in Jesus' ministry. Consider that there were 3 women standing at the foot of the cross with Jesus as he suffered. John tells us that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was there. Her sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And you also notice that he was also there. The only disciple who was there. The others had run and scattered, and they were scared. So, who was Clopas? Anybody ever heard of Clopas? It's the only time he's mentioned in the Bible. And the early church said that he was Mary's sister by marriage. In other words, it was Mary's sister. That Clopas was Joseph's brother, the earthly father of Jesus. And we figured that the last mention of Joseph in the Bible was when Jesus was 12 years old. And we've heard over the years that Joseph was probably a lot older than Mary when they got married, and he probably died earlier. Anyway, he was out of the picture. so it's likely that Clopas, as Joseph's brother, helped take care of Mary and her children for the rest of his life. And undoubtedly, Mary became close to her sister-in-law. There's not Mary's in the Bible.
Mary came to suffer.
So she was the only friend Mary had that stood with her. And of course, also, we know who Mary Magdalene was. And of course, we know Mary, the mother of Jesus. But we remember last week we talked about how Jesus accepted the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, ladies, unfortunately, women of that day fell into that category of the low lives. But Jesus treated them with respect. He made them part of his ministry. And it's interesting, it was the women who financially supported the work of Jesus and his disciples. I had to look that passage up because I'm not familiar with that, but it's true. Imagine that. In Luke, 8th chapter, we learn Jesus traveled about from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, and also some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out. Joanna, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household. Susanna, and many others. These women were helping to support them out of their own means. Very unusual for women.
And it's not changed.
That's right.
And you got, clearly there are more women can give, philanthropy. So we've always trained to go to make sure you meet with a husband and wife. You don't ask the husband only, ask the husband and the wife, and you let them not only get in a more thoughtful gift, and that, of course, translates into more dollars.
That nurturing.
That is still the best.
Did you know it was also a woman who became the first missionary to the Samaritans? Remember the woman at the well? Now, when Jesus told her everything about her life, she went running to everybody and said, "I've met the Messiah." So she was the first missionary. It was a woman who anointed Jesus with oil in preparation for his death. The 3 women who had the courage to stand by his cross for 6 long hours to be with him as he died. It was the women who first came to the tomb and found it empty on Easter morning. It was a woman who first saw Christ raised from the dead, and a woman who became the first to proclaim the resurrection. I think it was John Holman that said one time that he learned right early that you don't take off the middle of the because they are the good. Well, no. But the women have an important. But the women have an important role in the church, and Jesus recognized that. It was really, he was kind of a radical of his day. If you think about it. He didn't go with the norm. His disciples were the 12 men and everything. But he, as we talked last week, he hung with the bad people. You know, people that were shunned by society. But the women he respected, and he taught us to respect. As we consider the women in Jesus' life, we can't overlook Mary alone. If you think about it, Mary gave up an awful lot to become the mother of Jesus. And remember when she was approached by the angel to ask her about this. Remember, she did not say, "Oh, let me think about it." She immediately said, "Here I am. Let it be with me according to your word." She was a young girl. She would be stigmatized. You know, because how was she going to explain that she was pregnant. Have you ever thought about the fact that no other human being has ever had such an intimate relationship with God as Mary? I mean, you think about it. She had to furnish the human side. She carried him in her body for 9 months. Her blood nourished him. She was the closest human being ever in the history of the world to God. That's an awesome responsibility, isn't it? Throughout the history of the Christian faith, this was very new to me. Mary has been seen as a second Eve. Have y'all ever? Well, last week we talked about paradise. Through the first Eve, paradise was lost. They were living in the Garden of Eden. They lost paradise because of sin. And we learned last week that the death of Jesus restored paradise for humankind. Through the gift, Jesus, born of Mary, the second Eve, paradise was restored. Probably the most common understanding of this honor your father and your mother is the fifth commandment, which is honor your father and your mother. And that's how this statement is interpreted usually. Right? Behold your son, behold your mother. What does it mean to honor somebody?
I think it was respecting and holding them in high regard.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Honoring their family.
Washington.
Yeah. So Jesus asked John to take care of his mother, which is one thing. And John accepted her as his son. According to one tradition in the church, Mary spent the rest of her days with John in the town of Ephesus, on the west coast of what is now Turkey. Although a much earlier tradition says she lived out her days in Jerusalem. But she was cared for, but she still went on and helped him in Jesus' ministry.
Where were the other siblings?
I haven't heard anything about the other siblings.
Well, James.
James.
We're studying James.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess Jesus just chose John because that was his apparently very close. They had a close relationship. Is that what we do? You think about there are some cultures that really revere their animals, like the Japanese. You know, they take care of them forever. And I think of the Amish, and I know that popped in my head that when you see the Amish have these huge houses and they're huge everything, and they're like several generations of it. And that used to be the way you sort of did. For my time. But how do we take care of our parents? You know? And it's not just when we think of caring for somebody, you think about feeding them and clothing them and financially and everything like that. But it's not all about that. Giving them time. Giving them. That is the literal meaning of behold your son and behold your mother. However, we know that the book of John uses a lot of imagery. He uses a lot of hidden meanings. Have you ever thought about the fact that maybe he's talking about the church?
Mm.
We're told in Mark 3:35, whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother.
You know, the church in Charleston, which is still called Mother Emanuel.
Right, right. Because when you hear mother, the word mother, do you think of like nurturing, taking care of, feeding, clothing, see to your basic needs? Well, aren't we as the church sort of the mother hen? You know? And each generation in the church has a responsibility. I was thinking about this, as you get older, you have a different role. I mean, we were born in the church, when we're baptized in the church, one of the things asked at the baptism is to the congregation, will you nurture this child? Will you take care of this child? We're supposed to take care of our children. I told your mother-in-law when Ashley was born, I said, this thing had a bunch of grandkids. But that is part of our job, is to look after each other, take care of each other. The children look up to the older people as role models, as how to act. As children, we remember that. My first grade teacher was also my Sunday school teacher. I remember a lot about her. But how do we minister to the children in our church? I said, the parents of people remember Ruth Owens, Granny Ruth. It's my understanding that she taught Sunday, taught the kids in school, in church. She never had children of her own, but she half raised half the kids in the Pelzer area. My husband came up, and I'm sure Mike too. She was a wonderful woman, and the story is of her was that when Brooks and Rosemary Gray were born, she asked Deborah Marie, said, "Can I be an honorary grandmother?" You know? And even into her 80s, she was out there jumping on trampoline with those girls. She meant more to them than anything, and they meant a lot to her. So, just because you don't have children, all of our children have 4 legs and pervert, doesn't mean that you're not. You still have a responsibility to children. And as we grow older, the children, and the older children, and the younger adults have a responsibility to the older people. We have, the older people are our parents. I know when my mother died, my father died 20-something years ago. I thought, I'm an orphan now. I thought, this is sad. I don't have a mother. I don't have a father. I don't have anybody. But then I looked around me, and I felt like I got some second moms here. Bessie Donkey, my best friend's mother, who lived in California, stayed in touch with me. There's always somebody in the church, even outside the church. It's your mother or your father. You don't have to be blood related, do you? We're supposed to take care of each other.
If I can interject, you were talking about sort of generations in the church. There's a lot of work that's done. There's so much that is healthy about a church with multiple generations. There's this, there is very much, the older folks are part of y'all's role is to raise up younger leaders, and part of that is not only to raise them and help them to do what they need to do, but also to help them do it. You know, and so as those young adults and those even older than that are taking on those roles, you know, it's the you know, Mom, are you still holding on to the Bible?
That's
You're still
right.
holding- oh, you're not holding. Oh, I'm doing it by my, you know, taking on those roles as they're growing up, and then eventually they become the ones who then pass it on.
That's
down.
right.
And so it's this wonderful cycle.
We can learn from, each generation can learn from every other generation. Because it is passed down. And I think that's where we get the generation gap sometimes, because as we get older, we don't want to lose control, do we? We don't want to accept the fact that this little kid grew up to be this nice person that's really smart, you know? It's like when Jesus went back to preach in his home village, and I was like, this kid, it can't be possible.
That's just, yeah, that's just it.
Yeah, it's just, we're afraid. We're afraid to lose control. We're afraid to accept the fact that, hey, we're older. Right? We're afraid. No. We should be happy to let somebody grow into the faith and do something. Because the younger generation can learn from us, and we can learn from the younger generation. Somebody's got to teach us how to use these smartphones and stuff like this, right?
I think the funniest thing I've seen on Facebook is a little meme from a mother saying, look, don't get frustrated with me when I ask you about how to use my smartphone. I taught you how to use a spoon.
That's right. That's right.
That is good. That's exactly right.
I've got a brother who's a doctor, and a brother's a lawyer, but when we, like with Preston this week, we call the nephew, who's the doctor, and we have a legal person we call the nephew and niece, his wife.
Yeah.
We are both attorneys, and asked them both, because we've got an older brother who's the lawyer, he'll be 80 in September. He can give you advice, but he'll always say, oh, let me check with you, Michelle.
We have to trust this.
I'll call you back, or I'll get them to call you.
The whole thing is the church is a family. And as a family, it's not just about us in this little circle. As a church, we reach out to other people outside the church who are also family. They're our mothers, our fathers, our sons, and teachers. I don't have tons of children. I just don't take them home to food. That's right. But you still see them and you help them. You nurture them.
And you know, the older I've gotten, at the gym, at the Y the other day, walking out, working on the machine, and this young, handsome man comes up and he says, Miss Barner. You know, so they remember you.
Yeah.
And so you better be doing what you're supposed to be doing and saying what you're supposed to say and live the way you're supposed to live, because they see everything.
They do. We are all role models to every generation.
He's 22.
But like I say, it's not just us within the church that we take care of. We take care of people outside, like the food. We are the parents, say, of those people. We try to help them. We try to feed them. That's what Jesus is telling us here in his last teachings. And I feel like his 7 last words or teachings were to me, that's, okay, this is kind of a summary of what he wants us to remember. They were very important to him. He wouldn't have said them from the cross, because as we talked about the first time, it was very difficult to speak when your hand like that. The last part of this is emphasis on a woman who lost a son. This reminds us that Mary, who was highly favored, whom God loved, and who chose to do the most wondrous thing ever done in this world, also suffered. She suffered at the cross. She watched her son die a gruesome death for 6 long hours. But you know, after he died, she didn't go into seclusion. She didn't hold up her tent. She decided her job was to carry on the ministry that Jesus had started. And in human form, God experienced every single thing that a human being experiences, including the death of the son. So, he knows what we're thinking. He knows what we're doing. And as part of the church, part of his, we are his disciples. You know, church alone on the sons and our feet like we are Jesus' disciples. And we are put on this earth to carry on his ministry. Questions?
Judy, can I say something about the death of the son? I think probably most of you know that Mother Daddy lost his son. And he was 35, around the same age as Jesus. And like you said, Mary didn't just call him whole, and they didn't either. But I think that
It strengthened their faith.
it did. And it, I mean, they knew that one day they would see him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I know that one day I will be with all of them. But, not that it wasn't hard.
Oh, no.
My dad could not talk about
No, me too.
him.
No,
And you went to school too, so you know. But it really, I think, strengthened him. And I don't know, and especially having gone through this year, I don't know how people who don't know God continue to live.
Kathy, I have wondered that myself.
I don't. Where's their hope?
Yeah. And that's where we get our hope. And that's where we get our faith. Sometimes your faith is tested very badly. But, you know, life's not perfect, is it? Life's just faith. So through this particular teaching, what do we learn? Have y'all learned anything?
Don't mess with your room.
That's right.
Girl power, girl power.
Yeah.
We see the courage of the women who were part of Christ's ministry. Because that was hard for them back then. And we see the important role of Mary in God's plan for redemption. We see what it means to be a church.
I think God will bring a whole lot stronger than.
Oh, yeah. Because women over the years have had to fight for politically, socially.
It was a great swerve into science fiction, but a Doctor Who episode And so he encounters all sorts of different life and all that sort of stuff. And he encounters this species of like tree people basically. And for a long time they were looking for someone who was strong. He's like, I'm strong. He's like, no, you're weak. I need someone who's strong. And there's this little boy, and he's like, no, he's weak too. And then he goes to the little girl and says, oh, she's strong. And he realizes that it's a translation error, that they need the strength of a woman and a mother specifically. And it was just an interesting sort of take on that.
But yeah, I was thinking about this, all through Jesus' ministry, if you think about it, he preached to the downtrodden, he preached to the women, he preached to the church. Every aspect of humanity, he associated with. Which to me shows that everybody, he didn't slight anybody. He treated everybody with respect, which is something we need in this world today, is respect. But he didn't have little favorites, did he? He didn't choose one class of people over another. He didn't choose one race over another, one occupation over another. To him, everybody was the same. And that's pretty much what we should be trying to do. Okay. Goodness, John, shut up and start. We can't speak. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this new day, for all the hours ahead of us to see your blessings and to bless others with our example. We thank you for mothers and fathers, those who are related to us and those who we have adopted. Help us to be there for them in the hours of need. In Christ's name, amen. Next week, we're going to talk about my God, why have you forsaken
Is that your coming to go?
I think so.